Breaking right now, confirmation of what I've been reporting for some years. Prince Harry was forced to ditch his celebrity friends and lots of other friends, actually, because of Meghan Markle. But this reveal of a ghosting from a celebrity is still significant, especially given we've had all of the news over the past few weeks about the troubles between David Beckham and James Corden and Prince Harry, thanks to a certain duchess. Fake duchess, I like to call it. But this revelation overnight from Jack Whitehall, the British comedian in Australia, is absolutely fascinating. He was close friends with Prince Harry in his celebrity circuit, went out on a regular basis until a certain Suits actress came on the scene and said, "Clear off." So, Angela Levin, sometimes it's in comedy that you get great truth, isn't it? And Jack Whitehall, who has never spoken really about the end of the friendship with Prince Harry, clearly feeling a little bit disarmed, touring Australia, and makes the revelation that it was Meghan Markle who ended their friendship. What do you make of it?
Well, I think she didn't, got rid of so many that it's not a huge surprise. But he's a sort of nice man, a funny man. He did this thing, travelled with my father, and he was always joking about his father drinking lots and he wasn't. And, it was a sort of family thing and good fun and nothing wrong with it. And you can't really dislike someone who makes you laugh. But Meghan obviously didn't want anyone around Harry. She's the one who's there with him, and she's got rid of his family, his cousins, and the friends he had. You can't be more surprised actually. But when you hear about another man who's really a sweetie, you are quite upset for him.
All right, folks, let's get straight to it. Jack Whitehall, a top British comedian, just confirmed what many of us have suspected for years. Prince Harry dropped his close friends the moment Meghan Markle entered the picture. Now, let's be real, we've all seen relationships where one partner slowly starts cutting off the other's friends and family. But this is next level. Jack Whitehall is not some random guy on Twitter making accusations. This is someone who actually ran in Harry's circle. He was part of the elite London social scene, hanging out with A-list celebrities, including our so-called rebel prince. And yet, the moment Meghan came along, poof, he was cut out. And it's not just Jack. David Beckham, James Corden, even some of Harry's closest friends from the military have all distanced themselves.
I know, and it's so fascinating because, of course, this comes hot on the heels of the truth about how Prince Harry ended up falling out with David Beckham. Some suggestions he's not as close to James Corden anymore. Do you get the sense, Angela, because, of course, you were, for people who don't know, Prince Harry's biographer, you spent a great deal of time with him. That ended, but you still got to see the start of his relationship with Meghan Markle. Do you think there was something where she felt threatened about his own showbiz and celebrity friends? It was almost as if, I'm the star, you should be friends with my people, you shouldn't have your own showbiz people.
No, I think that she was somebody who lacks confidence then, and she didn't want anyone to be with Harry because she wanted his attention 100%, and she didn't know whether it would all work out. So I think that she just generally wouldn't let him. She went to a wedding, didn't she? And she wouldn't let him talk to anyone, and they left early. I think she just feels out of not comfortable, and so she wouldn't let him do it. And I think that that's one of the problems that she's got. It's a lack of confidence and also a huge demanding output that she wants him there by her side all the time. And a lot of his friends, he's desperate to come back now, we've heard, but he did also want to come back a year or so ago. And his friends wouldn't help him because they said he'd been so rude about the royal family that he couldn't expect them just to accept him without actually saying anything. And I think that's right. And you can't actually have friends which you ignore and drop because your future wife and then wife tells you to, and then expect them to pick up the relationship, even though he's been very rude about them. I mean, he did fall in love with her so much. And when I was there once at the where he was living, and the aide said to me, "Be very, very careful, because he doesn't know if Meghan's going to leave him. Be very, very careful. He's in a terrible state." So I was very, very careful. And I let him bring up the subject rather than me. That's what you do if you're a journalist and you want to get something out of them, but you don't want to make them angry. And, you know, he then talked about her very nicely. And I actually said to her, was she the person who helped you with your mental health as well? And he said, no, she didn't. I did that myself. So that was the answer to that one. But still, it was an interesting one. But you could see he was desperately in love. Desperately in love.
What does that tell you? This right here is the kicker. Jack describes a version of Harry that we barely recognize today. A guy who was fun, spontaneous, and didn't take life so seriously. And what do we see now? A miserable, bitter, and constantly complaining man who spends more time in lawsuits and Netflix documentaries than actually doing anything positive. That didn't just happen by accident, folks. Look, I don't want to be that guy, but let's just call it like it is. This is a classic manipulation move. One of the first things controlling partners do is isolate their significant other from friends and family. Why? Because the fewer outside voices someone has in their life, the easier they are to control. And let's be honest, does this sound familiar? Think about it. Meghan steps into the picture and suddenly Harry starts believing that everyone in his life is out to get him. His family, his friends, the British press. Suddenly they're all villains. But who's the one person constantly in his ear, feeding him these ideas? You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to see what's going on here. This is straight out of the toxic relationship playbook. Convince your partner that everyone in their life is bad, and that only you truly understand them. And guess what? Once you cut them off from their support system, they have no choice but to rely on you. That's exactly what's happened to Harry.
But maybe drunk on love, because he doesn't look in love anymore. And the thing is, Angela, if the person who you're meant to be in love with is telling you, get rid of all of your close friends, get rid of all of your connections to your family, that's when I guess you have to start asking some real questions. But what I did find really interesting about Jack Whitehall making this revelation in the interview is that also shows how far Harry's stock has fallen. Because in the past, celebrities wouldn't dare speak publicly about their friendships with a member of the royal family, especially if that ended.
Yes, that's right. But I think he was caught. He didn't think that a question like that would come up. And then you find yourself stuck. And if he wasn't used to being talked to a lot by cunning journalists, it's difficult not to answer. Before you can think about it, you are opening your mouth and saying something. He didn't say much. He just said, oh, yes, you know, Meghan, and that was it. And he probably would feel very guilty afterwards. But there's ways that journalists take advantage of that, is to drop in something that they don't expect. And then, you know, they're caught out of thinking that what they're supposed to be doing. I didn't like that. I didn't do much of that because I thought it's unfair, and I could get it out anyway. But I think that's quite common. You know, you hold it and then boom, give the question.
I know. And as I say, sometimes it is in those off-the-cuff moments where you get the truth, because obviously we've reported it for some time, but the first confirmation that Harry's celebrity friendships ended as a result of his relationship with Meghan Markle. Other big breaking royal news, Angela. Netflix have finally come out with a weak defense of Meghan Markle. This is after, of course, the comedian at their big launch event decided to take the mickey out of the royal couple. I do love that headline from the Daily Mail, I have to say. Stand by your mom. At the same time, Angela, I want to take you through the article. This defense from Netflix, and specifically the chief operating officer, Bella Bujaria, I would say it's what you call damning with faint praise. But let me just take you through it before I get your reaction, Angela. So, bosses insist they are excited at future projects including a romance film and cookery show, despite rumours the £80 million deal could be axed after disappointing ratings and bad reviews.
See that? That right there is the strategy. Frame the relationship as a battle where you and your partner are the only ones who see the truth. Meanwhile, everyone else, the friends, the family, the media, are supposedly against you. And once you've convinced your partner of that, you can control them completely. Sound familiar? Now here's where things get really interesting. We're not just talking about random friends from Harry's past. These are some of the most powerful A-list connections that Harry and Meghan could have kept. So why did they pull away? Let's start with David Beckham. Now, the Beckhams were some of the earliest celebrity supporters of Harry and Meghan. They even attended their wedding. But fast forward a few years and suddenly Meghan and Harry accused the Beckhams of leaking stories to the press? Are you kidding me? Think about how ridiculous that is. David Beckham has way more influence than Harry and Meghan could ever dream of. Why on earth would he need to sell them out? But that's what happens when you live in a paranoid echo chamber. You start seeing enemies everywhere. And then there's James Corden. For a while, he was one of Harry's last remaining Hollywood allies. He gave them a huge platform when he interviewed Harry about leaving the UK. But now, he's keeping his distance just like everyone else. You have to wonder, what is it about Harry and Meghan that makes even their closest friends eventually walk away? This is what people need to pay attention to. Harry and Meghan are losing their biggest supporters. And that tells you everything you need to know. In Hollywood, friendships are strategic. If you're useful, people keep you around. But if you become a liability, they drop you like a bad stock.
Chief Content Officer Bela Bajaria insisted that the streamer remains excited at the prospect of future projects with Harry and Meghan too. Although none of these projects, Angela, have yet been made. So the article reads, the couple failed to do any high-profile promotion for the project, sparking claims that there were problems with their £80 million streaming deal with Netflix. However, Ms. Bajaria stood firm that the streaming giant remains committed to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's future and insisted that Ms. Markle's new lifestyle cooking series, With Love Meghan, will be a hit. She's delusional. Ms. Bajaria added that Meghan is working on a screen adaptation of the best-selling romance novel Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. However, this is the key line, as yet it remains in development and has not been greenlit for production. Asked whether the movie is definitely coming out, she replied, "It is in development. It is a great book. She had it and we are happy to do it. And we have things in development. Everyone is excited about what is coming. I am really excited for her show." Then the Daily Mail went on to say, interestingly, in a glossy PR brochure promoting the biggest 2025 releases, the ex-actress's new cooking show With Love Meghan did not feature. However, Bajaria went on to say that Netflix stands, well, she was asked where they stand with the deal, and Ms. Bajaria told the Mail, "We have Meghan's new show coming out, which is great. It is such a great take on a lifestyle show and showcase for California, Montecito, and nature. It really has great takeaways." I was like, oh my God, I really want to do that, Pasta. There's really easy, great takeaways on life. I am really excited about that coming out. And the Mail says it is the first time a senior Netflix executive has gone on the record to confirm that the Sussexes will move forward with projects. But as I say, Angela, to me, that would be a case of Ms. Bajaria saying just what she had to say, especially, of course, there had been this comedian at the event, John Mulaney, who had really taken the mickey, as I say, by saying this is a really fun experiment, not since Harry and Meghan has Netflix given more money to someone without a specific plan. So, Angela, what do you make of it?
Well, if you remember last week, I said to you that she will fight very hard to get people to say that she's wonderful. And I think she would scream and shout and give everything she had to say that they have to put her right. And I think that the PR people, they've done it lots of times. There's always a friend who says she's wonderful. We've got another one we're going to talk about in a few minutes. And that she does force people. I don't know how she does it. It's quite nice to know that you can do that with somebody sometimes, surely. But she will do that until she gets what she wants. Because this Netflix thing is absolute nonsense, isn't it? I mean, oh my God, I want to really do that pasta. I mean, you'd be lucky. It's just ridiculous.
Does she
I think
honestly think that the whole world is going to be thinking
No.
Meghan Markle is going to teach us how to make pasta?
Yes, spoil it, dear. But it is something that people will actually stand up for her. But you'll know that in a few weeks things will have changed and it won't be the same. And that the trail of the love from Meghan was so shocking. It was so awful.
Yeah, and it's
the
had
sort
more
of thing
dislikes
people
than any
didn't
other
want
trailer in
to
Netflix
do.
history.
Yeah. So it's not going to be something that everyone's going to think is absolutely wonderful. They're just covering it. I don't know how she does it, but she does do it. And I think that she, perhaps she says she'll write a book or about Netflix, and spoil their lives. Sorry, that's horrible, but
Well,
I
yeah,
think
no,
she's
it's what she does.
I think she's very, very powerful to get people to actually say she's absolutely phenomenal.
And folks, that's exactly what's happening here. Hollywood is waking up to the fact that Harry and Meghan aren't an asset anymore. They're toxic. They bring drama, lawsuits, and controversy wherever they go. And in an industry built on image, that's the kiss of death. And the numbers back it up. Their approval ratings are in the gutter. Public interest in their projects is plummeting. Even Netflix, which threw them a $100 million deal, is reportedly frustrated that they don't produce anything worth watching. And let's be real, at some point even Oprah's going to stop returning their calls. So where does this leave Harry? Completely cut off from his old life, struggling to stay relevant in Hollywood, and losing powerful allies one by one. But the real question is, does he see what's happening? Or is he too deep in the bubble? At the end of the day, Harry made his choice. He gave up his friends, his family, and his country for a fantasy that isn't working out. And if he ever wakes up to that fact, it might just be too late.